What's up, everybody? It's your favorite odd releases, favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the KFC Grand Raijin. What am I, bilingual? It's like the trailer to the God Genrai Prime, if memory serves. I don't really know much about the Japanese continuity stuff, nor do I care, so don't bother educating me. But I will educate you on who this is on loan to me from, and that is Joe S., who is also going to send me the smaller Prime figure. Eventually, they're going to release just the Raijin, which is like the smaller Prime that will form the box, part of the trailer, or a cab, rather, for the trailer, and then form the chest. In the meantime, though, we have another little goofy thing to hold its place, but we'll get there when we get there. But we're not going to get there immediately. However, we will get there soon because it is technically an accessory, and that's where we need to start. So he comes with some alternate faces, for one, and they're really well sculpted. Really well done. You know, some of the faces I feel like we've been seeing recently have been a little hit or miss. Not necessarily from KFC or XTB or whatever, but just in general, these are really sharp. I got a couple paint smudges, but other than that, really good. Translucent eyes, silver chin strap, and gray paint on the face. And then you get this like more comic book styled head, which is a gimmick of sorts that's sort of included in the whole thing. Once again, brilliant metallic blue paint throughout, and then the eyes are painted blue as well. And then this will actually split open. I'm trying to use caution here. And this, I know this has like a Marvel Comics reference, but it has that in there as well. And then these faces, but I think these faces are for the other one. Either way, it's pretty cool. All sorts of detailings in there and such. No issues whatsoever. While we're talking about the comic book style stuff, you get two plates here that it will interchange, and then two here that will interchange in order to give them more Marvel Comics look. Now on the robot, it has these little single circle pegs, and you can just remove those if you'd like and put on the double pegs for the more, I think, comic book accurate on top of the shoulder. For the forearm, same sort of thing. 2 males, 2 females, and just make sure that you have the right ones and go ahead and plug them in. Now, the arm does look a little incomplete without this look. However, what you can do is rotate at the forearm and use that as the front, or use that as the front. And if you don't like this little bump out piece, either will work. He comes with 2 of these. They're obviously inverted there. That's what this other side looks like. But they're spring-loaded missiles here, and they fire independently, so the buttons are here. Pretty nice. No issues, but you get 2 of those. And you can peg them into the sides here of the front of the trailer, if you'd like. They utilize the same connections in base mode, and those same pegs are utilized in robot mode. But in all honesty, why have 2 guns when you can have 4? These are just black plastic with decent sculpt work. And they'll peg in to the top of the trailer if you so desire. Those rifles can also, one can be stored underneath here. There's 2 pegs, or there's 2 pegs on each side of the gun, and there's 2 holes on each side of the inner thighs, or shins rather, that this can connect with if you so desire. And these can be used in base mode as well. And you can flip down a handle, open up his arms, and it's a peg into the palm of his hand, and in rather typical Masterpiece fashion. And of course, he comes with my favorite thing in the world, a third-party screwdriver. Now, the goofiest thing is this. This is a stand-in piece. You can fold this underneath, and you can make this faux pseudo cab here, which is really a sad state of affairs in all honesty, but you could put this at the front of the truck if you want, and you can also put it in the chest. And mine came bent, like it's all bent up and stuff too, so I get it, thoughtful I suppose, but why? Gimmicks wise, the head can light up if you take it apart and install the batteries. The batteries are not included. So there's not a whole lot to talk about with this quite yet. I'll just go over some of the deco stuff. So the blue looks fantastic. This is the style blue I wish they would have used with Fans Toys Soundwave. I talked about that when it came out. Nobody understood what I meant. So every time I get the opportunity to, I take it. And then this is a nice red too. It's better than the Fans Toys Blaster as well. So it looks good. I just mean that in terms of like the deco, like the pop of the colors. The white looks good as well. Underneath, open season. You know what I mean? That's just the bulk of the bot there hanging out. The wheels do shift down. You don't really need them to without the cab, but they do shift down, which will line up more appropriately with the cab. It is a tight little slide though, just be warned. And the wheels are rubber, and then you have like the chrome detailings for the rims or whatever. Looks good. No issues there. I think it's overall effective, to be honest, in what it is trying to do. Speaking of things that it's trying to do, there it is, trying to look good next to Tiger Tracks, but it's no easy feat. Do you know what I mean? Not when you got this fellow on the board here. But there it is. So, I mean, large unit. Let's get into base mode. So, you want to untab the arms from here. You want to untab these two panels, or there's one or two on each side, and these two. These can tab together, I believe. And then untab the trailer back part, and then this whole piece will come down. And then I think, yeah, all right, so then fold these up on top, and then underneath. The same thing on this side. Separate these, fold this on top, they tab in, and then fold that underneath. And then, let's see, I think we can spin this also 180. Split these. You can split it at the bottom as well. And you can just set these to the side for now. Looking at the thigh, we have a tab here that needs to come up and lock into the back of the thigh. Use the knee joint to get it lined up properly, and then that will go in. So let's do that again. We have to rotate at the knee, up and over until we get that tab into place. Then you want to rotate after that's plugged in, up and over until that circle lines up with that circle, and then drop your pin in. Then lift your hip skirt up, rotate at the hip all the way up until that plugs in. So we're gonna rotate this piece up and over until that circle lines up on the thigh. And then we're gonna try our best to push it in. And then once again, with our hip skirt lifted, we're gonna raise it up until it lines up with the tab. And we're gonna line it up. I can't get it, but it goes in there. And then take this piece and flip that down for a little extra stabilization on the pelvis. Take this piece, spin it 180. There's also a flap here at the top. That'll rotate. That should rotate. Around 180 as well. And then there's a little armature in here. Let me get a spudger. That will flip down and actually plug back in on the underside. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it just fits in a little groove there for a little bit of extra support. You know, I guess not the best, but you know, that's what it's there for. And we'll do that over here as well. Actually, let's flip this out now, make it easier. We'll flip the wheels also at the same time. Flip that back. And then underneath, that armature fits into a groove, which doesn't really seem to be angled quite right, but it's supposed to provide a little support. Rotate the blue piece out. You can collapse the wheels and spin it 90 degrees, and then disconnect this section, and then you have to rotate on this bar down, and then rotate this piece up until it connects with this thing over here, and it's just challenging to see exactly. Where it is because of the dark blue. But that pegs in, and then this comes back over and pegs in there. So same thing over here, spin the blue piece out, spin it 90 degrees, move the foot section over, collapse the wheels. On this armature, rotate down, and then on the foot, you rotate up until it pegs in. That lays flat and comes back over and tabs in. Ugh, back there. Now these panels flip over and they tab back in. And this gun flips over. Now we're gonna try these arms. So take this piece of shoulder pad here, flip that out, rotate it up, rotate this out, and you need to clear that section so that this piece can flip over on the inside, fill out that square, and then that can shape up. And it's just a bit awkward. Let's try it over here. See if we make it look any smoother anyway. So let's start from the beginning. It's like this, right? And the goal is to get this box to fill out that square, right? Right here. So we're gonna flip over the shoulder pad. The little things, the little circle red things fall off. Rotate that up. Rotate it out. You gotta clear that, that's the trick. So get it up far enough. And then once you have it on the other side, that whole thing will swing down. You can collapse the arm up, but it won't sit quite right, right? So the other side to this is this piece here. I mean, and not that it won't sit right, but that it won't sit right as well because this little rod is in the way. But if you want to tab it in, let's see here. I think you can just move this over and then that tabs it in with the rod. So I'll try to show you on this side too. I know it's confusing. I feel like Alan Iverson, like, I know it's funny. It's funny to me too. But there's a little circle, like hole there. And if you line it up and then move that rod in, then it's locked in place. And then I believe the goal here is to lift up, and then you want to rotate and then collapse back down, lift up, rotate, and collapse back down. And then the last couple steps, lower that down and slide this gray piece forward, and then this piece, you gotta use that armature there, comes down and tabs into the two side panels to kind of stabilize it. Whew. And I mean, I think that's it in a nutshell. I'll clean it up, we'll take a look at it. So there it is, roughly in base mode. Now I haven't pushed in all the connections super hard because there's actually some paint kind of rubbing issues going on with this guy that I'll show as we continue to go through it. But I think you can get the general idea from here. Now the only other kind of thing worth noting is you can have these ramps unplugged. Sorry, other side. Good thing I didn't break that. You know, on each side, and I gotta work to tab all that back in now. But, you know, and kind of go with that look. And I mean, I think that's good enough. If you guys have been around long enough, you know that I'm pretty forgiving when it comes to base modes. Like I think that most of the time they're just trying to figure something out that looks somewhat like a battle station. And as long as that doesn't interfere with the overall engineering of the action figure or the alt mode, then I'm generally pretty okay with it. It's only when it interferes that I really start to have a problem. But let me show you what it looks like with some Legends figures, just that it might give you a sense of scale or what have you. So we can put in Magic Square, Prime, and New Age Brawn, and hopefully that does it for you. All right, so let's get to robot mode. We just fold this back up and then bring that back down. All right, so remember this little fella here? He's got to come up and out. Actually, we can untab the hip skirt as well. And then we can swing this down and get a little bit of room. He's got to come up. And the reason why is because it needs to pop out of that that hole that it goes into and then swing around. Let me see if I use 2 spudgers, because that is the only thing more powerful than 1. There. Once you have that, this piece will free. You can untab the blue section from the back of the thigh. All right. And then extend the whole knee. But now the same screw is going to come back and utilize that circle to stabilize the knee. We'll do that on both sides. So we're going to raise that up, drop a hip down, see if we have any luck with 1 spudger. Nope, looks like it's a job for 2. And that's going to be problematic for people, I think. There. Once you have that free, that should swing out, but then you have to untab the blue from the back of the thigh. Extend it. Bring this back up. And secure it as a knee. And we'll stop for a second. Our famous piece here, we're going to unplug. We're going to untab. And we're going to kind of retransform it the way it was. Meaning, raise this bar up, take this back, plug it in. And we'll set that off for just a second here while we deal with all of this. So, what needs to happen here is these panels need to come untabbed. And they fold up on each other like this. They accordion on each side and then tab together. And then let's spin it around this way so you can see. Then this comes and swings in to the inside and fits in the kind of lower leg. You can close this up, but there's another little tab that you need to flip out. And then this comes around, forms up. Make sure we have these wheels right. The side. Let's raise him up there. And then this tab that we flipped out will tab in to the side, the other side of the knee. All right, and then all we have is this. So we're gonna flip this around and squish it. There's pretty big connection points, so it may take a little bit of elbow grease. But that is kind of the finished look there. I'll go ahead and do it one more again. So I should have chosen an easier one for today, I'll be honest with you. All right, so open this one up. All right, swing that out to the side. Untab that. We're gonna kind of reverse the transformation. So untab, straighten, raise, tab back in, and then you can kind of ignore that for the time being. Good grief, sorry, Joe. And then we're gonna untab these. Now these are over-unders, so use a little bit of caution. Once you have them, they'll fold up and accordion in on themselves and tab together. And then they'll spin over on the other side into the leg, and we're going to collapse this little bar here. We're going to rotate the wheels out. We're going to flip our little blue tab here over. Keep track of the wheels. Spin this around. Tab that into the knee. Fold this down. Spin it. Got some big omri tabs here, so we gotta really make a conscious effort. And then fold that underneath. I gotta squeeze those tabs a little bit harder, but now it's at least looking like something. Flip the waist up, spin it 180. Slide this section back on both sides. Rotate the arms down, that's an easy one. Extend, rotate so that the elbow is going to be functional. And open this flap. Why is that not working? There. Spin the hand out. That is lubricated in there, which is nasty. Close that up. We're going to do the same on this side. Rotate the arm down. Extend. Make sure that the elbow is functional. Open. Spin. Collapse. Rotate the hands appropriately. Take these two pieces, start to pull them out, but then rotate that piece up. Pull out, rotate up, and sort of stick them to the side. Then the middle section that houses the prime head. Now let me get a better grip. Whew. Comes up and over. Utilize the gray armature. And spin here until you line this back up with these sections here. And it's just hard for me to see with the there. And then his head is forward. And of course, there's a big old space for a truck to go. Let me clean him up. We'll take a look at him. So let's talk about the figure. Once again, the brilliant blue paint looks fantastic. It's on a hinge swivel, so you can get up to there. Nothing really down, but the swivel. It also has translucent blue, but the blue looks good even without the lights, so that's a nice touch. All right, we'll move on to the shoulders. So remember, we have this piece here that will raise up, and we'll just set that to the side. Then the shoulder itself can rotate past 90 degrees, which is a nice touch, and 360 around. Now, if you swing this out, I wonder... Yeah, so if you swing this out... No, I thought you might be able to finagle a butterfly joint out of it, but I'm not sure that you can. All right. Then, we'll back out a taste. The red paint looks great, by the way. On the arms and such, no issues there. We have a waist swivel that's ratcheted. We also have an ab crunch. So, that's nice. And then we'll kind of back out and look at the whole thing. As much as we can, anyway. Large unit, so to speak. All right. So, hip skirts, they get up and out of the way. For ratcheted universals that are very, very sturdy. Out to 90 degrees, pretty much. Forward. Back. Thigh swivel. The knee is technically double jointed, but the ratchets aren't the greatest. And I'm not afraid. I mean, I'm too afraid to tab that in all the way. The ratchets aren't the greatest. There's a lot of weight in those lower legs, and as a result, without really sturdy ratchets, they just don't hold their weight extremely well. Once again, the blue paint looks fantastic. As far as the ankles go, we have no rocker, but we do get, no ankle tilts, but we do get a rocker to a pretty extreme degree. And then I'll show you, oh, that's another thing I want to show here. That truck that's going to come next, so to speak, is going to take up a huge portion of his body with how wide this thing has to expand. And then there he is from the back, which I think is acceptable. Let's do some size comparisons. Size comparison wise, there it is with the Magic Square Prime. So, I think it'll fit in beautifully in terms of how big it's supposed to be, because I think that's about right. Either way, it'll make for a very kind of imposing Prime with a Masterpiece Collection. Final thoughts wise, let's talk about the negatives. One of my big negatives here is that a lot of pieces just kind of end up popping off. Some of that is to accomplish the gimmick stuff of being able to transform into the comic style aesthetic. But even on his right shoulder, the kind of circle button has fallen off again. I've just put it back in the bag and been done with it. If you look at his shoulders themselves, these pieces come off, and that one is missing. I don't know if it's always been there. I gotta go back and look at the footage. Or if it fell off at his house before he sent it. I have no idea, but that's obviously missing a piece. All that's, I guess you can't glue the other stuff, but that stuff should have been glued. And I'm not sure you needed two circles up there. For the experience of the thing overall, I think it'd been better if it was just one piece. There is a fair amount of paint rub when trying to make the connections. That's a gift and a curse kind of a thing. I think Fans Toys handles their paint pretty well and don't have as much problems as KFC or XTB seems to have, but that's certainly something that should be looked into and addressed by them. I think there should have been ratchets in the knees. That's going to be a big issue with this guy, and it takes away from the fun factor of them as well. And some of the connection points are really, really tough. Like the front shins, I still don't have mine plugged in right because I just don't want to cause any damage to this thing. But even like, those screw circle bits that you got to push in to lock into certain places, and I had to use two spudgers to get it out. Like, I'm just not sure if that was the most well thought out thing. I'm not opposed to new ways of doing it though. I actually think that the rods, the metal rods that hold the shoulders in line, I actually think that's a smart idea. So I'm not against trying some new stuff. I actually enjoy seeing that. I'm just not sure if it was implemented extremely well here. And then there's a couple little articulation limitations. No downward head movement for a big figure is a problem, and no ankle tilts. Positives though, the ratchets and the hips are amazing. I wish they would have been applied to the knee a bit. The accessories all integrate well. I love the different head options and all the different nods to the comic in that way. I actually think they're a lot more meaningful than the little nubs and plates on the arms and shoulders. The transformation is interesting. Even if it's not completely ironed out, I think the new ideas are interesting. The materials feel great, has tons of weight and sturdy plastics. The paint is fantastic. Now I can't recommend this yet because I really need to look at the other piece first before I can recommend it, because I really feel like you gotta recommend it as a set or deny them both as a set. But with that being said, there's nothing here, I'll say this, there's nothing here that would make me not recommend it. Hope that helps. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, until next time, take care.